it has occurred to me that there are two, maybe three types of breeders in the black copper Marans community. Maybe there's two types of like serious breeders, and then like just the breeders who don't give a shit and will breed anything as long as it's black copper Marans and lays like something more than a light brown egg. And listen, if you just have some pet chickens, your backyard flock, and you want some chocolate egg layers, none of this even matters at all. Your chickens will lay eggs, they will eat up a bunch of food, and you can love them no matter what. And Marans are a great dual purpose, docile, beautiful breed of chicken to raise. They are hardy, they lay prolifically. I mean, I cannot speak enough about them. They are obviously one of my favorite breeds of chickens. But the two types of breeders that I have found in the Marans community, the black copper Marans community in particular, is you have breeders who breed towards SOP standards, standards of perfection, and you have breeders who breed towards egg color, those dark egg colors. Usually the breeders who are breeding towards egg colors are mindful of standards, but it's not their like first line of breeding choices. Those breeders breeding towards egg colors are line breeding, and they're trying to get those darkest brown eggs. So they're taking offspring, they're taking their darkest brown laying pullets or hens, and they're breeding those females back to roosters from really dark brown eggs, probably breeding back to like their sires, because that's one of the ways that we get darker eggs through each generation in black copper Marans is we do what's called line breeding, where we breed pullets back to their fathers. Chicken breeding is not like dog breeding or other species, and inbreeding is not as serious of an issue in chickens as it is in other species of animals, and at least not as soon. I posted videos about this before and caught a lot of shade, but talk to a group of chicken breeders and many of them will say that it takes multiple, like 6+ generations to start seeing consequences of inbreeding. And usually the first things we see in those generations when we start to see consequences are fertility issues, and at that point that's when breeders will start to mix in new blood. But the problem is mixing in new blood in established breeding programs also makes things pop up that we don't want to see, and then we have to breed all those out and test breed, and it's just really kind of a pain in the ass. I mean, less of a pain in the ass than fertilization issues, but you know, it's just one of those things that you have to weigh the benefits and risks. I have tried to hatch eggs and work with some of these like really dark egg lines of genetics, and I have always found that they have like weird comb issues, and usually that they really lack feather on the shanks. And I don't know if that's like a thing across the board or just happen to be the lines that I happen to try working with. And mind you, these really super dark Marans eggs are rare, and just because we hatch from the darkest eggs, the genetics don't always pass down that way, and so we need to leave room for some variation in the color from the offspring, that the color of the egg we hatch from doesn't 100% guarantee what those offspring are going to lay, because it depends on both parents too. But this is like a whole nother video in and of itself. So anyways, let's move on to the second type of breeder that I'm talking about, and those are the breeders who are mostly concerned with standards of perfection. Now mind you, Marans hens need to lay at least a 5 on the Marans egg color card in order to be even considered a Marans, even if they look beautiful. So even breeding towards standard of perfection, we need to be mindful of egg color, but we're going to be more mindful of color of the bird, the types of the color of the copper versus is it like super brassy or super dark red mahogany. There is like a particular color of copper. We're going to be mindful of that 5-pointed comb, that low tail, how the feathers on the shanks look, the color of the feet and toe pads, just all of the things. Like there's a reason there is books on this shit. And of course, I'm not sure if any of us ever actually achieve standard of perfection, but we are mindful of it and we breed towards those standards. For me personally, I started out concerned with egg color and then quickly kind of turned over to, wait a minute, I really want to be mindful of what I'm putting out here into the community in terms of these standards that breeders have worked really hard to achieve. I mean, egg color breeders work really hard to achieve that too. So my goal then transferred over to, I want to be mindful of standards and getting my flock as near to something like the standard as I can to where I feel comfortable putting that out to other people and breeders. And then from there, I'll take that flock and really hone in on my egg color